Welcome back to another Hedera Ecosystem Twitter space brought to you by the HBAR Foundation. I'm Brandon. I'll be your host. We're going to discuss and focus on the 10th Agora Blockchain Congress held in Dubai just a few days ago. Our panelists all attended the event, including representatives from the HBAR Foundation, KrypC, HeadStarter, Karate Combat, and HeliSwap. I'll try to introduce the panelists as you come up, but if I miss it, just say your name and who you're with as you're coming up, and we'd appreciate it. Panelists can jump in at any time, or you can raise your hand and I'll segue to you. I'd love to get as much participation from the audience as possible. So if you have a question or a comment, just request to be a speaker and I'll bring you on up. As always, none of what you hear today is financial advice. And with all that out of the way, we'll start with Vignesh, who is the HBAR Foundation Director of Business for the Middle East and South Asia. Vignesh, can you explain what the Agora Blockchain Congress is and what its goals are?
Hi, everybody. Thanks for the invite here. So basically, Agora is a global event. It's a global blockchain event that is focused on bringing startups, investors, and entrepreneurs to Dubai, and to basically discuss about topics around distributed ledger. And this year, I think the key focus was around NFTs and members, because this aligns with the Dubai Metaverse strategy, and that was the key focus for this year. And the basic goal was to participate for the foundation, for us to participate and learn from the ecosystem, from startups and from government entities on the latest trends and what are the thoughts. Right? It was more like for us to understand what is the enterprise thinking, what is the government thinking, what are startups building new innovative stuff. So this was our goal, to basically participate in the event.
All right, makes sense. So now we'll move on to the founder of HeadStarter. Tudor, why did several builders in the Hedera ecosystem come together to become a sponsor of this event?
It was a real Hedera party back in Dubai for Agora, that's for sure. I mean, I remember vividly, we were behind Max when he was speaking to VC, and he was telling about all these cool benefits that Hedera has to offer, the different services, the different verticals that can be leveraged, the carbon negative fixed fees, etc., etc. And I was with Ben, one of our core team members, and we were just saying that it is really amazing that somebody else is preaching the right words in Dubai about the Hedera ecosystem. I feel like we had a big role when it came to the coming out party that we had. We're very happy that everybody could make it for the event. I know that it was Thanksgiving in the US, so it was great to get some of the leading Hedera projects represent in Dubai. To give a bit of context, HeadStarter, the first time we came out, we were at Agora Blockchain Congress back in November of last year, and we felt like it was a very unique atmosphere when it comes compared to some of the other crypto events worldwide. So we wanted to recommend the event. We're happy that we managed to organize in real life event that we represent for the ecosystem, and at the same time we're very happy that we were able to make to some of the VCs a great introduction to the leading Hedera projects, and we were in great company in Dubai. I think that it's one of the key things that we should focus on, and HeadStarter will continue to focus on going further, which is representing and putting a spotlight on some of the leading projects in the ecosystem at in real life events.
Well, you're a great representative, Tudor. What were your general takeaways from the event?
Some interesting things that I've seen over the past year or so is that there's a lot more people that are aware about Hedera now. That's for sure.
Okay, I got you. So we'll move on to Max from HeliSwap. Max, what did you think of the event, and how was the representation and feedback on DeFi at Agora?
So thank you for that question. First of all, also want to thank Tudor for giving me the shout out earlier. Just wanted to add that it was also great to meet the HeadStarter team in person, and we actually got to discuss a lot of fun things that are going to happen in the future. So it was great to leverage the opportunity, not just talk to the investors, but also to connect closer with the Hedera players that were present. Overall, we did have the feeling, and this is seconds what Tudor said earlier, is that most conversations we had, people were familiar with Hedera and the benefits. So it was great to see that we can actually skip the intro and we can go straight into our product and talk about what we actually came for. So that's very positive to see. And we also noticed that despite the FTX scandal, that there was a very positive atmosphere in general. And even though some market conditions might be a bit uncertain, it seems that both sides, the projects keep building and the investors keep looking for smart ways to support us in these efforts. So that was awesome. Sorry, you mentioned another question on DeFi, correct?
Yeah, just, what was the general reception for DeFi? I know, a lot of the centralized finance things going on in the space are a bit bumpy right now. You mentioned that black cloud we have hanging over us. What was the reception for DeFi?
Generally speaking, from a DEX perspective, of course, some people may say that a DEX or a regulated DEX, which we are not, just to make that clear, but a regulated DEX or a DEX can be a certain solution for what happened with the FTX scandal to give more control to the users' investment themselves. So overall, we did not get too much skepticism, but we rather felt that investors are looking closely at valuations of DeFi companies, which makes sense after what just happened, and that if you build properly and you do the right things, then the market opportunities are still there. So we went home with a very positive feeling on that. But of course, within the DeFi space, you need to do things right to gain trust from your users, right? Which is what we're working on every day. Just to add one more thing, you mentioned earlier the NFTs on Hedera, Vignesh. Just wanted to give a quick shout out to Cyber Hedera, because they're also based in the United Arab Emirates. So we actually got to meet them outside of Agora, and it was great to also connect with them, with the NFT community a bit more closer and in person. And there's also some real cool stuff coming up, so stay tuned with that.
Looking forward to it. So I see we have Ravi. He requested to be a speaker. We brought him on up. I'm not sure if you're part of one of the teams or you have a question for the team or a comment. You can go ahead.
Yeah, this is Ravi here. I represent KrypC, and we had a stall during that event, and also there was a panel discussion that we sponsored where Vignesh was also presented himself, and it was a very interesting event for us for a couple of reasons. One is, we could see a lot of Hedera partners in the event. We could very well connect with them, though we are new to Dubai. We could very well connect with them because Vignesh was there, and the partners understood each other very well, and that was helpful because first time when we are setting up an event, you need some kind of known people there. So that was helpful. So a lot of interesting discussions with all the Hedera partners, number one. On the other side, we launched our CrypCore Web3 engine, which is sitting on multiple chains, including Hedera. And Hedera was a prime chain for us at this point in time. So we launched that product, which means, there are a lot of inquiries and discussions, people stopping by, asking why Hedera, how it is working, and how we can enable their Web3 journey. It was very interesting 2 days, and most importantly, the panel discussion with large corporate representation from Siemens, Germany. He flew all the way from Germany for that, and he, along with Vignesh and my own team members, we had a very interesting discussion, and it was an interesting event altogether. And probably, I think we did not see much of an impact of the recent showdowns because people were very positive and they are looking at how we can course correct and then move forward. That was my experience, and it is amazing.
Fascinating stuff, Ravi. And this can either go to you or it can go to Moet. KrypC is focused on building tools for both startups and enterprises in the Web3 space. Did you engage with both at the event?
Yeah, we did engage with both because most importantly, the tool what we have is an end-to-end Web3 toolkit. It has got all connects right from infrastructure until it goes up to a smart contract. So anybody who wants to get in to Web3, it's a few click away. They get APIs, they can connect. And most importantly, since it was easily, we could connect with the Hedera Hashgraph because of all the services readily available. We built on top of that. So the startups were looking at this space because with very minimal investment, they can kickstart their project, which means if a startup is looking for X million investment, probably 1/3 of that they need not dilute, because this tool can help them without going for much investment. So that is one thing, because it's a pay-per-use, so they don't have to put any capex. And the second thing, for enterprises, there's a lot of challenges enterprises are looking at. It's not like a normal startup, right? They've got internal processes, controls, treasury operations, and all those stuff. For them, this kind of engine will be helpful. So we had a few enterprises already stopping by asking us, and including investors. Some of the investors were part of their citizens, right? So they came and then they were looking at how we can engage. And investors are also keen to support our initiative, because some of the startups where they put in money, probably in this dry season, they would like to see, without drying their funds, how they can make use of our Web3 engine. So these are all very different discussions. And interestingly, they all understood this Web3 space, but they did not know how to get into Web3. So that is a quick start or a fast track that we can help them with.
Good stuff. Next week, we're actually doing a Twitter space on people that are building out tooling for Web3, particularly in the Hedera space. So we'd love to have you guys on as well. Moa, did you have any feedback that you wanted to give from the event?
Yeah, just to add to what Ravi just said, we had a very good interaction with enterprise as well as developers. One of the interesting feedback or understanding I got from the developer community, at least, was they were quite excited in terms of how they can leverage their current understanding on general Web3 and maybe other protocols, and use the common set of framework and tools to use their knowledge on Hedera as well, and then focus more on their use case. For example, using our toolkit and the engine, it is quite easy for them to just focus on the business logic, and the platform is set, the APIs are set, all the wallets are integrated in one place. So it was quite interesting for them to see that what they used to do in other platforms and other protocols, now with minimum changes, they are also able to incorporate here. So I think they were quite interested, and they were looking forward to build more dApps on the Hedera ecosystem.
Thank you, Moet. So the next thing I want to get into, we have Rob. He's one of the founders of Karate Combat, and he also attended. I guess a sports league stands out a bit at a Web3 conference. How was the reception for Karate Combat at the event?
Yeah, overall, as a lot of things are in the Web3 community, to lead things off, everyone, was extremely pleasant, and they were really receptive to new idea. We're the first sports league that's moving fully to a DAO structure, and our token has some unique utility. And to tell you the truth, when we started off, a lot of people thought that we were a game. But once we kind of explained to everyone, it was actually helpful being on the panel to get that across. But once we explained to everyone what we were doing, mid-meeting, it was definitely a change, because they were expecting some sort of NFT-based game, but they were really receptive to what we had to say, and the follow-ups have been going extremely well. The other thing I would add, believe it or not, I think, one good thing about funds in that region is that they're pretty diverse. Even though they have a Web3 Web3 specific fund. They're investing in many things. So, it seemed like capital, believe it or not, was more available there than what we're seeing for investors of the same size back in the U.S. Who've really shut down, the majority of the investing that they're doing. In addition to that, we had a number of great meetings. We met, everyone we wanted to meet. We thought that the format was great, and we're really happy that we made the long trip over there all the way from the United States.
Good stuff, Rob. Now, you're kind of in a unique position with Karate Combat. You're new enough that you can transfer control to a DAO like you're doing, but you're also growing fast enough that I think you're going to be a fairly major player. So I'm sure that caught a fair amount of attention over there.
Yeah, yes, and I think rather than being new, we've only been around for 5 years, but I would say we're sort of starting to approach mid-maturity for a sports league. I think a lot of it was, we had already we had a simple structure to begin with, and a small number of passionate owners who also understood Web3. So I think rather than, the amount of time the business has been around, I think a lot of it has to do with the ownership of transferring over to a DAO, and that's what allowed us to do that. I think as people go forward, they'll know that the opportunity exists and that there's benefits to having the structure for certain types of traditional businesses. And I think more and more of them will leave the door open to do something like this down the road as they grow, and kind of going the route that we thought was straightforward but backwards for Web3. I think it allows businesses and products to really explore how their product's going to work, before they introduce the Web3 aspect as well. So we think it's an interesting structure, and we hope people follow in our footsteps.
Well, going back to one of your early points, I went to your most recent fight, KC36, and I've been a fight fan forever. Some of the most exciting fights that I've ever seen, and it's not a game you're certainly not playing. So I was impressed with the whole thing. And we have another one coming up on December 13th. December 17th, I'm sorry. So that one should be exciting as well.
Great, thanks. Yeah, and we're always happy to have anyone from the Web3 community to come, reach out to us, and we'll definitely do our best to accommodate you guys.
Good stuff. And I see Jalen down there. He's part of the HBAR Foundation. He was at the event as well. Just a blast all around. So, Tudor, what are some important project considerations when approaching investors? And have you noticed any increased excitement or involvement from VCs in the Hedera ecosystem, considering the growth in use cases that we're seeing recently?
Totally. I mean, last year when we came to Hedera, a lot of times we had to explain what Hedera is. And I'm always shocked whenever we speak to Web3 based VCs that some of them are not aware about Hedera, although we're like top 38 by market cap right now. But nonetheless, we love to speak and to preach the good word of Hedera to investors. I think that Agora, as the other panelists mentioned, is uniquely positioned to connect startups with investors. Very little noise, although there's a lot of noise where I'm at right now, and I apologize for that. But one thing that is very important is to solve real world problems and not make the same mistakes we did in the past. So in the past, last year maybe, a lot of the stuff was built on fluff. There was a lot of things that we call today Ponzi-nomics, but something that we're very focused on, at least in the Hedera network that we're building today, is the fact that we are building with substance. We're building applications that have real yield. Real yield will become more and more the talk of the town in the years to come. And I think that building sustainable applications is something that Hedera can build. We're very well positioned to be regulatory friendly, compliant as a layer one. And I think that all the other projects are following suit and building applications with value. So I think that the investors appreciate this, that all the projects on Hedera have strong fundamentals. And we also have a very strong community as these Web 2.5 projects that are addressing real customers that have in real life use cases. And I think that 2023 will show a real growth in the amount of adoption in Hedera. investor visibility for Hedera projects, but also retail adoption.
Yeah, so you're definitely speaking our language. We want those value add use cases, not only in the crypto sphere, but also in other use cases, other enterprises, and things like that as well. So, Vignesh, from an HBAR Foundation perspective, what was your impression of the event overall?
I think just going back to what Tudor said, Agora is very different compared to other blockchain events in Dubai. Because I think they bring in serious investors and connecting with them with startups, and you could see a lot of investors coming there. While most of the events in Dubai, to be frank with you, you'll not see real serious people. So I like this event because it's very serious, and we have a good amount of VCs coming in for the event. So that is one part why we participated. The second thing that I found it very surprising. We had a lot of companies representing Hedera ecosystem. So we had nearly 4 or 5 companies there, very strong presence, and this is the first time that I see large amount of companies from our Hedera network, Hedera ecosystem participating in Dubai. So that was very surprising, and it was pleasing, as you know. So that basically says we are creating our ecosystem now, slowly building our ecosystem in the Middle East, and that's something that we would like to grow further, whatever we have done so far.
So, Vignesh, can you tell us about the potential for the Middle East market for Web3, and maybe tell us about Tajori, which is a Hedera use case that came out of the UAE?
Yeah, so Middle East is one of the key sectors that we are looking at. So because this also ties up with the government here. The government is very proactive, and they are encouraging companies to come and set up operations. And you must have heard about the Virtual Asset Registry Authority of Dubai. They're giving licenses to projects, and a lot of your companies coming from the US, Europe, setting up their operations and holding office in Dubai itself, and that is very encouraging for us. And what we are also working with the regulators here, encouraging, basically working with them to enable our startups, our grantees, to help them to accelerate their basically incubation or creating their sandbox within the regulatory framework of Dubai. So we could see a lot of potential here, and we are also working with, collaborating with enterprises, startups, and we could see, exciting things that's going to come coming years. And moreover, it ties up with Dubai's metaverse strategy. The government itself has announced they have their own metaverse strategy, and that's why every enterprise now is mandated at least to try out and to figure out their metaverse strategy. And this actually sits, very well along with the fund structure that we have in the foundation. And in terms of Tajori, Tajori is a document management solution that we have built it for DFC codes along with our local partner called Deca4 Consulting. And just, it's a very important use case. And of course, it's a very big milestone for us because in Dubai, for your information, usually the governments don't like to work with private or the public the companies because they have huge data regulation rules. But they were very open, and I think we are the first ones to do a very large production-based implementation for a public government entity in the region. And this is, for me, this is like a use case reference, and eventually this will give us a lot of other opportunity to work with other government entities in the region. So, so I see this is just a stepping stone for us as we move along, and you will see a lot of opportunity, a lot of use cases built on Hedera. And so now that we have a very strong government, DFC codes is, it's a very prominent financial institution in the region. So that has opened up for us into other infinite possibilities, especially in the enterprise sector in the region.
Yeah, well, we love what you're doing in that region for sure. Tudor, I saw you had your hand up. Did you have something you wanted to add?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that I know that Dubai has been in the news recently for good and the bad. The bad specifically when it comes to some infamous crypto people coming here to evade certain repercussions, but for the good, because for years they've been pushing Web3. There's a lot of initiatives. There's hundreds of projects that had set shop in Dubai because of the crypto-based licenses that have been issued since 2019. if I'm not mistaken. So the ecosystem is very proactive, and there's meetups every day. There's prestigious layer 1 networks that have headquarters here in Dubai and moved a lot of their team recently here, and the whole ecosystem is buzzing about crypto in Dubai. In 2021, I couldn't get a coffee in a coffee shop in the city without somebody next to me talking about NFTs or about tokenizing real estate. So definitely it's a space that has a lot of VCs and projects, and that can become one of the crypto hubs in the future. And we encourage everybody to venture off to Dubai, especially when it comes to networking and exposure purposes.
Yeah, those bull run times are certainly exciting, but now's the time when the actual building takes place. So we're looking forward to that. Tudor, I'm going to stick with you on this next question, but I want anybody on the panel who has an opinion about some conversations, raise your hand if you have anything to add. So Tudor, did you convince anyone, I know you're a great evangelist, did you convince anyone at the event of Hedera's value proposition, and are there any that you think might swap networks as a result?
Actually, I have to say that through a lot of our initiatives, we're kind of doing this as an accelerator and launchpad on Hedera. Over the past year or so, we've been exposed to a lot of projects that are trying to find a home. We've already taken the steps to have a handful of projects that have been building on other networks explore launching on Hedera, and everybody's very happy with the ecosystem that they find here, with the partners and the community that's vibrant and excited to have and welcome everybody on board. There were a few projects in the event that have said that they will be exploring and they will be in touch with us to open up to support the Hedera network, but this is something that happens every day. Just yesterday, for example, there's other 2 projects that we are trying to bring onto Hedera to build, to help with building tooling, and yeah, I mean, everybody right now I feel is excited to spread their wings. As you said, Brandon, it's a period for building and also networking. So the people that are true to their cause and want to really stand for the right values in the space, built with substance, they're here, they're building in the bear market and exploring and exposing themselves to an ecosystem such as ours can only be beneficial for anybody.
Thank you, Tudor. Max, how about you? What was your engagements when talking about the Hedera ecosystem to other partners there at the event?
Yeah, it kind of covers what Tudor said. So something that I mentioned earlier is that a lot of times we did not have to dive deep into Hedera itself because there is a general awareness that's growing. And that was also for us something very pleasant to see. We didn't necessarily engage with, because we were mostly focused on speaking to the investors directly, right? So obviously an investor is not looking to bring a project themselves over to Hedera, but more building their investment strategy and figuring out whether to invest in the ecosystem. So we did get that feedback a few times that Hedera is kind of on the roadmap, but there's no defined strategy just yet because it just had like DeFi opportunities, especially have just been quite scarce so far. But now in the follow-up, we're engaging in very good discussions, and we're kind of trying to help Tudor here with evangelizing for Hedera, bringing more investors in and growing the ecosystem overall.
Well, we certainly appreciate it. Mo at Ravi, what were the questions like about building in Web3 and more specifically building on Hedera? Did you get any questions along those lines?
Yeah, certainly. In fact, right after COP27, this happening in Dubai, this event, there were a lot of questions about, from the corporate perspective, as you may know, the enterprises, they all are focusing on net zero nowadays. So their question was, how do they ensure the sustainable way of getting into Web3? So that's a very important question for enterprise, right? Because they don't want to kind of create additional carbon emission by getting into Web3. So they were very particular about it. So that was a very interesting discussion because we could demonstrate to them how energy efficient Hedera a hash graph is, and how they can work on a predictable transaction cost model. So these were two primary reasons why everybody was looking at, okay, who can I get into Web3 using our tool on Hedera. That's what we heard, and we were able to communicate to them very clearly about these propositions. And coming to the another angle to it is they were all asking, okay, hey guys, you are not as distributed as other level ones are, but tell me how are you going to convince us that this is the right platform for us to be, because it's not so distributed. Very, very obvious question, right? But the minute when they could see the list of the governance members, they were all stunned, like, oh my God, such a large companies together city holding this. Then that was kind of information for them, and we could explain them about the architecture, how it is working, and how we are getting into centralized or decentralized model in the future. We are also talking about stacking. Now they could clearly understand the value prop. And then question of getting into Web3 on any chain is what they are talking about. Now they are focused on, okay, how do I get into the Hedera as a chain? Coming to the prominence of Hedera as a brand, as a chain, level one, I could see that, there were days, we Hedera network a couple of years ago, and there were days, when it comes to question of level one, we did not see Hedera in that space at all in the beginning of 2-year journey. But now very clearly we could see whenever people are talking about level one list, Hedera is definitely in that list. That is a big easy job for us as a partner to talk to enterprises and they say, hey, look at that level one chains, Hedera. That's what we are talking about. We don't have to introduce Hedera forcefully. It's already there. So this is this event helped us to kind of go to the next milestone in engaging with enterprises. In fact, one enterprise couple of back, they were talking to us even much beyond putting their app in Web3 on Hedera. They were talking about how do I enable myself to be a partner in that main network. So that means, that kind of discussions were happening as well. Vignesh is aware of the discussion. So generally, number one, Hedera as a level one, and number two, the cost-effective, energy-efficient, and the predictable model, what enterprises were looking at, and our Web3 engine on top of that, which helps them quickly without any, it's a low-code, no-code, without much energy, putting resources, enterprises can quickly get into it. So all these three together, I think in 2023, we will be seeing, already we have seen a lot of inquiries coming in our way. So 2023, we will see at least about 5 to 6 Web3 projects, large enterprises, they are coming together, they are going to be part of this ecosystem. It could be metaverse, it could be NFT, it could be loyalty, but discussions are going on. Of course, our carbon core is already there. Now, they will also try to come into carbon core to make sure that their net zero objectives are achieved.
Thanks, Ravi. So can you name drop a little bit? I know you mentioned Siemens. What are some of the other enterprises that you discussed some of these topics with?
Yeah, I think the corporate citizen I'm talking about, or I couldn't give the name because we are under the NDA, because some of them, they have signed an NDA, but they are from large banks, because one of the platforms that we have deployed already, there are 100 banks sitting on that chain, but it is not on Hedera, it is on some other chain. But the startup who started that project is called Trade Asset. We are also talking about how to connect with Hedera for getting some immutable assets stored in Hedera network. So as part of that ecosystem, there are a few banks who are talking to us, and we also have some trace and track solution that we have already built. There are corporates who are large engineering companies. They are interested to come and be part of that ecosystem. So probably in a month or two, we will be announcing that in Hedera case study platform.
Thanks, Ravi. So you mentioned that you went to COP27, which was just the week prior. What were some of the contrasts, some of the similarities between the two events since you attended both?
See, the COP27, okay, my team attended, but I got the complete download from the team. I think the COP27, unusually, because normally COP27 is attended by only the UN and the not-for-profit and government organizations. I believe that this year they saw a lot of enterprises coming in with enterprises with a focus on net zero. They want to understand how through COP27 they can achieve that net zero goal. And Hedera having under West, we had a large side event there participating within COP27 venue. So I think we had the panel discussion, and we had brochures, we had presentations, we had demos of various ecosystem partners. The big news, or rather the conversation that happened was, Hedera is not just a protocol company. It's not a level one. They are also into creating ecosystem that is very much needed for the day. COP27 is directly connected to net zero. Now we are talking about an ecosystem with, I think, 27 or 28 partners already put their technology and efforts into it. All these partners together will be a nice part for an enterprise, any large enterprises to come in and go through the journey, because there is we are DMRV guys, and there is a company who is finding a best price in ecosystem for a carbon asset, and there is another company who is giving an ESG ledger. There are all kinds of partners available. Now it will be easy for any enterprise to come, pick and choose, and then connect their ERP or whatever technology they are running to achieve that ESG goal. So that's what I think COP27 finally we got as a summary. Now continuing with that, that's the discussion that's happening in such event like Agora event. These are all the discussions that we can take it further and then make sure that the enterprises are comfortable.
Thanks for those insights. And I'm going to be interviewing Rob Allen just this afternoon, probably get that video out tomorrow. And he was at COP27, so we'll be able to get some more information on that as well. HBAR Hub, you want to go ahead with your question or comment?
Yeah, it's exciting to hear more and more people being interested. And the interest thing is what I want to ask a question on. You mentioned that I didn't quite get the fullness of what you mentioned, but you mentioned a project that was building a lot. I think you said 100 different entities were building on top of another chain. And now you're hoping to get some assets onto Hedera. My question is, when they built on the other chain, what led them to build on that chain? And why, and how is that shifting? What is shifting to make them want to look into shifting more? Or for you to say it's to convince them to move over to Hedera? Thanks.
Yeah, it was, probably when we built in 2017, that was, they were looking at a permission ledger. So the permission ledger had its own benefits for the startup to go and talk to the banks, because banks could easily believe that, okay, my data is safe, it is not going to the public, and all kinds of, comfort. So that's how the journey started. And as they were progressing, it's a good chain, and they are working with the chain. But what is lacking is the publicly verifiable part of asset. For example, the bank is bringing some asset, and okay, I'm going to, because it's a kind of illiquid asset. It's not going to be more than 3 to 4 months shelf life. So now this asset, if somebody has to verify, they're not going to have enough time to email and then get some confirmation about this asset is reliable or not. So there needs to be a publicly verifiable part, which was missing. So now we created a link. We created a small tool called Verification as a Service that connects to any system, not only one chain. It can connect to your ERP, it can connect to any technology system that you may have. What we did was we connected that, and then we put a topic ID, and then we created a QR code that goes along with the asset, or along with the document, along with the video, whichever is traveling downstream. So now people can easily verify without have to come to a permission ledger. In a permission ledger, you need ID, you need an address, you need a whole sort of member onboarding process. But here it is not required, which is a fantastic case, because when I have to verify, I need to work with a very simple cost, because I'm a verifier. I am not going to be a business, part of that business. For various reasons, I may be verified. So that is the reason why this connect happened with Hedera, with this platform. not only for with this platform, with the verification as a service engine, is connecting to multiple platform which is in production that we have already deployed in multiple chains to connect to the public verifiable part. So that's what we are promoting. So this is now, any bank, any third party, it will be easy for us to verify that asset in the Hedera network.
That's awesome to hear, and I love the conviction that you're speaking with, because I believe that it's the only way to make a lot of this happen in an effective way, and I can tell through your voice that you believe that too. And I'll bet you are using that same conviction to talk to these people in person. So glad you're on board and excited to see what you guys develop more and the different projects that are building on top of it via your tool. Thanks.
Great question. Thanks for asking. If anybody else has a question in the audience, you're more than welcome to come on up. Just request to be a speaker and I'll bring you on up. The next one I'll give to the entire panel, but we'll start out with Tudor here. How have the recent market conditions impacted private investment in the space? And are you seeing impacts on one class of crypto investment more than others? For example, fungible tokens, NFTs, or startup equity?
Thanks for the question, Brandon. So indeed, as HeadStarter, we're a bit focused towards building the tools and the infrastructure to facilitate decentralized funding for Hedera-based projects. But the private raise side of things is equally important. And more recently, although the market conditions are not favorable, we have seen there's a lot of appetite from VC investors towards investing in big and strong projects, especially the ones that are at the infrastructure, whether that's layer one type projects, bridges. Ultimately, there's a lot of VC activity still today. And I think that one thing that's important to mention is that we noticed that the investments from the private side of things are right now a bit higher in value. So we don't see investment funds, VCs, angel investors just throwing out tens or a few $100,000 at projects. They're looking to back up the winners in the space, the projects that will be here for a few years to come, decades hopefully, and they're trying to find the projects of substance rather than something that's just a short-term play. So I do believe that the infrastructural and the key projects that will enable growth, whether that is something that is a DEX, a bridge, a accelerator launchpad, a DEX, wallets. I think that all these key infrastructural components to different layer ones that are unique in themselves will end up being the winners and the projects that, let's say, accrue most investor interest in, have done it over 2022 and will continue to do so until the market turns.
That's actually really encouraging. Robert, with Karate Combat, you were mentioning what the environment looked like over there, and I know you guys are in the middle of raise as well. Do you want to elaborate a little bit about the differences you saw over in Dubai and just any general comments you have on the investment environment?
Yeah, we're seeing a few different things, that we've kind of noticed throughout the year. I think earlier in the year, you had a portion of the Web3 funds that were invested in certain areas really pull back from the market. And then now you've seen sort of, a new group of investors, the ones that have kind of either survived the downturn or hadn't deployed all of their capital. So you've definitely seen a change in the investor base. I think the other thing is, you've seen the, not almost the influencers or the media partners or the people that sort of already have large reputations that had 1 foot in crypto and 1 foot out, sort of trying to take credit when things go well, but then a little bit timid other times. I think you've seen a lot of partners like that have been, less interested to invest as they see how things shake out. Our fundamental business is unrelated to crypto. We're basically our revenues are more correlated to sports sponsorship than the price of Bitcoin. So, we're in a unique situation. But the way we've kind of approached it is, realize, look, even though we're not, our fundamentals aren't correlated, it does affect trading prices, and to attract interest, we definitely went out with the deal that we thought was appropriate for today's market. And I think if you price things right, you can still see substantial interest. So that's sort of our strategy, and it's been working. I think as long as the companies are flexible, realize the state of the market, there's still a number of ways to move forward, and there's still people. There's still people out there looking to deploy capital. But I would say definitely, the Middle East as a region, I think you've seen less people pull out of the market for deploying capital than you see in Europe and the United States.
Thank you, Rob. So we're going to shift gears here a little bit. Regulation and government involvement is certainly key right now because there's a lot of attention. I believe Agora tries to get government involvement. Vignesh, was there a government presence at the event?
I was not sure much whether there was a government presence. I'll probably let Ravi to answer that. But I do see government presence in majority of the government presence in a lot of events. But I was not sure whether.
I think there were a couple of family offices of the government level. They were present, and they were asking us what help do we need in setting up ourselves in Dubai, and that ranges from setting up an entity and goes all the way until the funding and growing of the business happens as a UAE. So that's one kind of government interactions we had. And I believe, I'm not sure, I was not part of that session. In the morning, there was a there was a discussion where I think government authorities were also present, talking about VARA and other regulatory aspects in Dubai. So that's what my understanding. So otherwise, generally, it was more from the large investor community and startup community. So regulatory aspect, not much, but definitely there was some presence.
Thank you, Ravi. And I do want to say, if anybody has any questions, this is last call for questions from the community. I do want to tease this out a little bit more about government involvement. Ravi, do you think in general governments are taking the proper approach in their information gathering and understanding of the DLT and Web3 space?
Obviously, now with I think 40 countries have come out with their central bank digital currency. So now with this currency coming in, now what is the next step? They have to connect these currencies, because what are these currencies? These are all programmable money. Now just giving this money without making full use of it is suboptimal. So they have to necessarily connect these CBDCs with other use cases, and other use cases may be sitting in any level 1 protocol like Hedera. Now we are already building a CBDC connector with which can be used by any enterprise for trading or for payment or for anything that they want to do. If there is a currency, especially in Web 3.0, you are not going to use the fiat currency. It has to be in one or the other form of programmable money. Now, with this said, most of the governments are very keen to see how they can connect with level 1 DApps to make sure that the programmable money is used for ultimately benefiting the society and community that they are building. So I think with that, we saw a few discussions with corporates as well, because they want to see how they can make use of because now they don't have any threat. Earlier the regulatory issue was there, because they were not sure how to have a wallet, how to have access to various cryptocurrencies. Now if it is CBDC, it is easy for them to connect with their bank, have a wallet, and with the ecosystem. Now any DApp, they will be able to easily work. It could be loyalty, it could be any DApp that they can, an enterprise level can think of. So that said, I think governments are definitely they are keen, and we could also see that through corporates. So it's just a matter of time before government's money, the programmable money is connected to the DApps.
Thanks, Ravi. Vignesh, in the areas that you are covering, I know you already got one government, essentially with Tajuri, to get involved with the Web3 space. What's their thoughts in general in the areas that you cover on Web3? Are they approaching it the right way, in your opinion?
Yeah, I think now they are evolving, and they are working with partners like KrypC, other SI partners to understand the scope of Web3, especially using the public ledger. As I said, it was all private ledgers like Hyperledger and R3 Skoda, but things are changing now. The governments are very open now to use and open to using a public ledger like Hedera, and we could see that they are maturing right now, and that's a very good sign. And in fact, we will be announcing a couple of engagements as we move forward to next year. We are going to work with a lot of other government entities and enterprises which are traditionally built on a private ledger, and now they are trying to move into Hedera. So that is basically a positive sign, and I think they are also learning, the advantage of using a public DLT or a private DLT, and we achieve that with local partners like KrypC and other SI companies that we work with.
Thanks, Vignesh. Now I'm just going to go around the horn here and get some final thoughts. We are getting toward the top of the hour. Max with HeliSwap, is there anything else you'd like to pass on before we let you guys go?
Actually, just maybe something that came to my mind when you asked about the overall atmosphere. So since we're currently raising for our Heli token, which we're looking to launch it towards the end of the year and beginning of next year, we were very happy to see that despite everything that's going on, token investments remain remain a strong aspect of VC investment theses. So just to add to that, despite the equity downturn, the token part is still prominent in there, and that helps us a lot.
Thanks, Max. And Robert with Karate Combat, is there anything else you'd like to pass on or any final thoughts?
And nope, we just want to say thanks for the invitation to the Congress, and we'd like everyone in the community to follow our token launch and tune in December 17th for our next event.
Yeah, you can go ahead and sign up for that Karate Combat token launch and airdrop. We can certainly get that information out there for everybody. Moet and Ravi, do you have anything from KrypC that you'd like to pass on before we let you guys go?
Nothing from our side. It's wonderful talking to you. We all look forward for active participation from our enterprise customers in Hedera ecosystem, and maybe next year, same time when we do the Congress event, we have already a few enterprises participating in this ecosystem. Thank you very much.
Thanks for coming. All right, Vignesh, anything else you'd like to pass on?
No, I'd like to thank yourself and even for the other grantees like HeadStarter and KrypC and HeliSwap and everybody to be coming to Dubai and to be participating in the event. And we look forward to next year and see how we can grow the Hedera ecosystem.
Thanks, Vignesh. And we'll give the last word to Tudor, who put a lot of this together, and we certainly appreciate that. Tudor, go ahead.
Thanks a lot for that, Brendan. We're really happy that we were able to showcase some of the leading Hedera projects in the space at Agora, and it's just one of the in real life events where we'll be continuing to push visibility and authority for Hedera projects and for the Hedera ecosystem. It's been a pleasure to see and meet in real life the people from HeliSwap and from Karate Combat, also the people from KrypC. For us, it's a priority to continue to build and grow up the space. It's as you rightfully said, this time is for building, and in the Hedera ecosystem, we are building with substance. And the community that sticks here today is the community that ultimately will continue to reap all the benefits going forward. And when it comes to the private side of things, the market is scared. some of the investors are shaken out, but the partners and the connections and the investments that you receive in this period of time are the ones that you want to have. They are the people that you want to have on your team and in your community. And over the next few months, we'll continue to build and develop some new exciting products for the Hedera ecosystem. So stay tuned for some exciting stuff coming from HeadStarter soon.
Well, Tudor, again, thank you so much for helping organize all this. We really do appreciate it when we have evangelists like you and the other builders up here. That's what gets the flywheel going. I know Brady's down there listening in the audience, gets the flywheel going to get this entire ecosystem growing exponentially. So I do want to thank all of the panelists for coming on today. Thanks for everyone in the audience who asked questions or made comments, and everyone who listened in. That's all we have. HBAR Foundation out.